good event this weekend, right around the corner. It's the second annual Shoot Hoops Not Guns tournament, Lenny Cooke Foundation, and of course that'll be at the Oakcrest High School in Mays Landing. It's a long day, 9 to 8. A lot of kids are going to be involved. You got a ton of players coming out there. You got a camp going. You got a game going. You got a clinic going. We'll get to see a bunch of some great longtime street ballers as well. And always good to invite my man Lenny Cooke back in studio. You said as soon as you walked in here, you thought I was too rough on Westbrook.
Yeah, man. I was listening to it on the ride over here, man, and a lot of people been downing him and knocking him because of him shooting 35 shots tonight and all of that. But he have to do what he has to do. He's the only man.
He is. You actually made the analogy when you look at Allen Iverson years ago. Look, I still take him. I still think he's the MVP. I take him over James. I take him over James Harden. So. I think what he did this year was remarkable. I just got a little frustrated watching because I just wanted to see one player just contribute and step up and make a shot and all of a sudden instill some confidence in these guys. And you didn't see it. And Houston's deep. They're the better team.
Houston is the better team all around. They have a bench. They can play. They playing maybe 10 players. But once again, Westbrook don't have that. So he have to take 35 shots.
How about Williams and Gordon coming off the bench?
That was tough. That was
instant offense.
Yeah,
It reminds me back in the day when Detroit would just go to the microwave when they would just get Vinny right off the bench. He'd drop 15 to 18.
Yeah, I mean, but he don't have those. He don't have that bench player. I think Westbrook is great, man. I don't knock him for doing what he do, but at the end of the day, who can he go to?
Do you think? Is it a situation where maybe Kevin Durant knows something that we don't, right? Or are people do they read into that a little more? Or we always know money talks. In the end of the day, he felt maybe the Thunder weren't going to surround him and Russell with a surrounding cast. But at the end of the day, listen, that's a major loss because definitely. You have the inside-outside presence, but you also have Durant who can spot up and knock down the shot and also drive to the basket.
Can you imagine how that team would be if they would have kept Durant and Harden?
Well, but again, that's not how the NBA works, right? Yeah. I mean, that's not. We know that. That's not the name of the game.
But, I mean, I think Durant did it for. He wants a ring, and he didn't feel like he can win with Westbrook. That's what it boils down to.
What do you make with the other games? I think Washington. When I look at Washington, if you want to be taken serious, you have to try to win on the road. But I still look at that backcourt. I think Wall
and Bill is amazing.
He's a beast.
Yeah, they're amazing as a backcourt. I think they may be the best backcourt in the league.
Now, if they were to get by Atlanta and say they eventually meet Cleveland, can they give Cleveland a run for the money? I'm not saying win the series in 7, but can they?
It goes back to bench play. If their bench is strong enough to match up with Cleveland's bench, then they got a shot.
It's tough, man. No one's talking about this, but you have to go back and look at Wall. As soon as John Wall started to put more muscle on, he's got that nasty streak now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you watch him now taking the ball right. I mean, he's actually playing angry, and he's a blur.
I mean, I feel like he thinks he has something to prove because of all the guys like Curry, Harden, Westbrook, all of them getting their shine, so-called.
Right.
And nobody's talking about him as much as those guys.
Right.
And he's producing just as well as they are.
Yeah. No, I think he's a great player. I loved him in college. I've loved him in the pros, and I think he's probably one of the fastest players in the league with the ball in his hands.
If not the fastest.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's amazing. The problem though is, like I said, eventually now they get the game home tonight. To me, Atlanta, I still think Atlanta's a soft team. I would love to see Washington go through and ultimately maybe play Cleveland in the finals, and then you got Chicago and Boston. You had the road team winning. You see the loss with Rondo with his injury, and at the end of the day, though, Boston still has a 5'8" player, and he's 5'8".
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
exactly. I mean, Rondo going down hurts us, man. That's my team. I'm a Chicago fan, but I still think we can pull it off without Rondo.
Yeah, I Boston, to me, they're like an enigma, right? They're so sporadic. I can't take them as a – see, I don't think Cleveland cared who the top seed was because they put it – you want to say sleptwalk or cruise control for the last month of the season. That's fine. They sweep Indiana. LeBron's going to get his – exactly. He's going to get his rest. I mean, to me, Boston is not your your quintessential, your legit number one
Nah,
seed.
they're not. Cleveland could have been number one if they really wanted to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think they wanted to be that seed because they knew they was going to sweep Indiana and get their rest.
What team right now out of those that are left, Atlanta, Washington, Chicago, and Boston, you think Washington?
I think Washington's the only team that can compete with Cleveland.
Other than that, you think Cleveland's just going to skate through in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah.
What about the Western Conference? I mean, all of a sudden, it seems like the Warriors, we forget about them, how great they are, and they wake up. When you get that production from those three.
I mean, the way they shot the ball the other night was phenomenal. I mean, if they shooting like that, Cleveland don't stand a chance.
I had a couple guys on Facebook were posting the other day, and I was going back and forth with them. And my man Julio Sanchez.
Yeah.
So Julio, who used to fight.
Julio?
Yeah, Julio always talking nonsense on Facebook
Jules.
with me. So he said on yesterday, he was saying that Curry is the best shooter he's ever seen in his life.
I have to disagree with that, Jules. I'm sorry.
But I'm saying, but listen, right? Allen, Reggie Miller, Bird. I mean,
he just make it looks different because of his speed and his handle and the way he can create his own shot.
Quick release.
And his release. I mean, he definitely is the best at that. But as a pure shooter, no. He's not the best that ever came.
Yeah, I mean, remember when the spacing on the floor with the Celtics and Bird always had that awkward release because he kept it really high. But as soon as he caught it and he went up, that was it.
Yeah. I mean, and Curry, his release is so fast, and he jerks his hand. Like,
exactly.
He shoots and snatches his hand back like he already knows what's going in.
Yeah, and Allen, too. And I couldn't stand, though, because, Miller used to kill the Knicks. And Miller, he would have that flick of the wrist, but he would also have the leg kick, too.
Yeah, the leg kick.
Yeah, let me ask you something. That's another thing. Have you noticed, does it amaze you how a guy like James Harden can turn around and always find a way to get fouled?
Right?
But is that more of what he's doing or just sloppy defense or a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, the game has gotten soft to me personally. So, I mean, if James Harden was playing back then, he wouldn't get that call.
Can you imagine if he played in the 90s?
Yeah.
Even in the late 80s.
I can't imagine LeBron playing in the 90s.
How do you think LeBron would fare playing in the 90s? He would get banged up. He would get beat up.
He would be a regular basketball player. He wouldn't be the star that he is now because he couldn't take that banging.
Yeah. What do you think of the overall game as far as the defense? I know we talked about this, but
nobody playing defense.
Yeah, but
anymore.
In the playoffs, you have to play defense in the playoffs.
That's going to win games. But
you have
now,
to.
no one's playing defense no more, man. The game is so commercial now.
Well, I'll tell you, it's funny because when you look at some of these players right now, and you argue about the rest with some of these players, and then we see the last week or so of the season. I still thought it was a disservice. I hated the fact that you had the Nets basically roll over. Chicago gets in. Okay, be that as it may. But they're paid a substantial amount of money. So my argument is just don't make it so obvious, right? It's so prevalent where all of a sudden you've got a game on ESPN and people are paying good money to see Golden State versus Cleveland, and you turn around and 5 or 6 guys are sitting respectively.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's bad for the game, me personally, because these people are paying great money for these seats.
Yeah.
And they coming to see these players that's supposed to be playing, and they're not playing. It's a game time decision.
Right.
Like, let the people know that they're not going to play in advance.
In advance.
You know what I'm saying? If that's what you're going to do.
And it's tough.
I mean, like Charles Barkley said, nobody was resting back in those days, man. They was playing. It didn't matter how many games they had to play back to back.
If you go back and you look at especially go back to the late 80s with some of these players, I'm not suggesting, and again, I've had this argument with people where they didn't play all 82. They didn't start all 82, but 95% of them played.
They're going to play.
Karl Malone, when he was 38, 39, was still logging 38 minutes a game.
Yeah. I mean, I just think I don't think it's fair to the fans that these guys are just sitting out because they want to sit out.
What's the one thing about the NBA right now, besides the lack of defense and the guys resting, that obviously you're a diehard fan. You were close to tasting the NBA. When you look back and you see now, 15, 20 years ago to now, what's the one thing about the league that you don't like?
How commercial it's become. I mean, anytime that Paul George contract could be $200 million and the media judges whether he's a first team all NBA can determine if he's going to get that contract or not. I think that's bogus to me.
But also, to be fair, though, listen, that's a good point. But you also have these outrageous TV contracts too, right? We talk about, Mike Conley's not getting paid if ESPN and the NBA don't have.
Exactly.
And I'm not taking away.
Right.
I'm not taking anything away from Conley. I want to ask you this before we get to the event, and I know we'll talk a little more NBA. Lenny Cooke joining us for a couple moments in studio. What were your whole thoughts with LeVar and Lonzo Ball?
I mean,
and I don't know if you I don't know if you listened in from time to time when I was talking about it. I'll tell you mine real quick. I think he put a ton of pressure on his kid. The kid finally gets outplayed. There's no excuses made, but I think no matter what, he's putting a bullseye on this kid's back.
He's definitely doing that. I mean, me personally, he's marketing them. He's marketing his kids. He's marketing himself. Nike, the owner of Nike already said he's just making himself look bad. They're not interested in his kid. I mean, I just think, he's trying to make money. He's trying to market them. Which is what it's all about now. It starts in AAU with the marketing. So, I don't think he's doing nothing wrong, but like you said, he's putting the bullseye on the kids. And if they turn out to be terrible when they get to that next level, then what's the excuse going to be? Did
you have guys coming up to you when you played high school and AAU ball and summer league ball with potential shoe deals and contracts and whatnot? Was that ever?
I mean, I had the opportunity to sign with Adidas after the first year.
Okay.
When I was at ABCD camp.
Okay.
I mean, that's what it's about.
You can't begrudge a guy for making a buck, but it almost seems as though what happens when they tear their knee and all of a sudden the gravy train stops.
I mean, not too many. I mean, 1 in a million kids, man, is going to have that be a LeBron.
Right.
Out of high school, $90 million contract before he even touched the floor with Nike.
That's
ridiculous. I mean, come on now. I mean, that's what it's all about now, though. That's what every kid is looking for. I mean, they're making more money in endorsements now than playing basketball.
Of course they are.
You know what I'm saying? So
now look at Peyton Manning in the NFL, made more in endorsements than he did playing in the NFL. I mean, you're talking about a first-time ballot Super Bowl winner, Hall of Fame quarterback. You can argue top 10, but the money's there. I know you're doing some good stuff. Got your feet wet this past year or so with Atlantic City men's basketball, Coach Gene Allen, everything. You got the second annual Shoot Hoops Not Guns tournament this weekend. It's going to be a good event over at the Oakcrest High School in Mays Landing. This is the second annual. What made you want to put something like this together?
I mean, I just think it's my calling. I think it's my duty to try to help the kids, give them something to do. Hopefully, one day I get that sponsor or whatever that's gonna say, Lenny, well, we're gonna do this every day. We're gonna give the kids something to do every day because this is what you love to do. I mean, I just feel like the kids in the area don't have too much to do after school. And
now, it's tough, too, because even when you're right. I mean, sometimes when you don't have anything to do, that's when you get yourself in trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I can prevent that, that's what I want to do.
You got a bunch of guys. I mean, you're talking about some street ball legends.
Yeah, definitely. We got some good guys coming down. I got 2 guards from North Carolina, the dunk gods. They're 5'7", the highest jumping twins in the country. I got Corey Homicide. He used to play with Toronto Raptors.
Yep.
He's one of the legends from New York City. And I just got a phone call from my man White Chocolate. He's supposed to have been going to Japan tomorrow, and he said he would go later because he don't want to miss my event.
That's pretty nice. That's pretty neat, too. You know, and we were talking, too. You talk about guys like that when you get that exposure, you know, because he won the tournament on MTV.
Yep.
You know, it's amazing, too, because we talked about this, right? You go back in the day and you talk about the GOAT and you talk about all the playground legends playing at Rucker Park. And then it seemed as though once they stuck a camera out there and then the influence of hip-hop, rap, MTV, all of a sudden you get a DJ out there with a microphone. Now everyone's, what are you doing on Saturday? It's all about street ball.
That's all it's
and
about.
Then it's amazing how people have made a career out of it.
Yep, people traveling the world, just putting on shows. Speaking of Rucker Park, man, I got to say rest in peace to Greg Marius.
Yes.
He gave me my only MVP in Rucker Park. He changed the game for street ball. He brought everybody from LeBron James to Vince Carter to Tracy McGrady. Everybody who was somebody played in Marbury.
Yeah.
Brought him to. He changed the culture.
You can't find a lot of videos on the GOAT though.
No, you can't.
They're far and few. It's almost as though like they wanted to keep that You know, David Thompson,
even with Pee Wee Kirkland, you can't find.
But did David Thompson play at Rucker Park?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know the story about David Thompson, the legendary story.
Yeah.
Grabbing
the chain and all that. Yeah.
I mean, that was a high flyer. Yeah. Did you follow college this year?
A little bit.
A little
bit, man. My team, Kentucky, wasn't looking too great.
Did you see the special on Calipari?
Yeah, I definitely watched
what
the 30
did you think of that?
I think it was nice. I mean, he does what he has to do for the kids. He one and done.
Rubs people, a lot of people the wrong. I mean, I'm not. Listen, we talked about it. I was fascinated by it, but man, he rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah, he definitely do. What he said. I mean, but the kid goal is to be in the NBA.
I know. Again, you can't begrudge any player. I think though you're starting to see some of these players all of a sudden they don't fully commit because they know maybe it's, there's a lot of tails out there, right?
Yeah,
as
definitely.
They say. There's a bunch of tails out there as well. 12:36, we'll keep it here for a couple minutes. Lenny Cooke joining us in studio on a Wednesday edition of Middays with Q. Rich Quinones here. We'll take you up to 2 o'clock. We mentioned he's got his second annual Lenny Cooke Foundation Shoot Hoops Not Guns tournament. We just mentioned White Chocolate, Randy Gill, a.k.a. White Chocolate, kind enough to jump on the line for a couple moments. What's going on, White Chocolate?
Oh, everything is good and blessed, sir. How you feeling out there?
I'm doing well. Lenny and I were just talking. He says you're giving up a lot of stuff this weekend to hang out with him and for the kids.
Oh, man, Lenny does a lot of things for the kids in the community, and I'm just, happy to be able to be a part of that. I've been a very good friend of Lenny Cooke. He's been my personal friend for over 15 years. We played pro ball together and everything, man. So, we played in New York together at the Rucker Parks and everything. I mean, he's one of the best players that ever played, that I ever laced him up with, man. And, he has a great heart, and he always trying to give back to the community. So, yeah, I had a lot of things going on, but I feel like it's an obligation of mine to, try to help support my good brother, and just come and show my love and everything for the city and the town out there, man.
We were just talking about the GOAT. We were talking about Rucker Park and some of the players. Besides Lenny, full disclosure, who is the best player besides Lenny? Who is the best player that you ever played against at Rucker Park?
Oh, man, I played against some great pros, man. I would have to say, man, one of the best in his prime would be my good brother, Ali Moe, a.k.a. the Black Widow. I mean, he was one of the best that ever did it, man. About 10 straight years, maybe 11, 12 years in a row, from the time he was about 17 years old to about 30. I mean, he was holding down. I mean, this kid was incredible, man. So he definitely had a great – I mean, there's so many great players there, but, I mean, that was one of my personal favorites.
But when you go back in the day with the GOAT, though, people forget. Kareem played, Connie Hawkins played, Tony Archibald played, Wilt played, Dr. J played, Earl the Pearl played. Yeah, Chrissy Mullins played at Rucker Park. Yeah, well, I'm just saying. I mean, you're talking in the heyday, and then I think a lot of people also forget guys like Telfair, right? Jamal Tinsley.
Kobe. Yeah. What about Kobe?
Kobe. Mashburn.
LeBron came out.
Oh, Tinsley.
Vince Carter came out.
Yeah, all of them. That is a breathing playground. Can you imagine without Rucker Park, though? I don't think we see the creation of really the quote unquote the street ball and the traveling teams. I think without Rucker Park back in the day and the creation of Rucker Park and all the players that it sprouted to college and the NBA and the Hall of Fame, I think you lose a little bit where if it's never created, if you didn't have those tournaments with the crossover dribbles and the slam dunks and this, that, the other thing, even back in the 50s, you're not going to see in the 70s and 80s. You're not going to see it.
You're not because you got to use example for. Rayford Austin, Skip to Malou made the N1 circuit go crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I feel definitely like Lenny say too, but it's the trend set, it's the creator. It's like everything goes down. It's created at the playground first. It's created in these competition battles when everybody's there. When you might be in the NBA, but I'm a street ball player, but we're gonna match up heads up, and you don't have nothing to save you. It's nothing that can save you. Either you're gonna cook me or I'm gonna cook you, but it's gonna be on Front Street and it's gonna be live right here. And the intensity and the competition level rises so much that right now, what are you gonna do? And spotlight. You cannot avoid that spotlight. So either you want that spotlight and you're going to come for it, or you're going to fall away. You know what I'm saying? So
and the best thing too,
out there.
no, and you know what? The best thing too is even years from now, you turn around 10, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, you can always turn around and say, "Yo, I schooled so and so."
Exactly.
And so you always have the street credibility no matter what.
And the streets are going to tell you schooled so and so or so and so schooled you. You know what I'm saying? Because we got selective memory, but them streets, they don't forget.
No, they don't.
Fans know,
no, the elephant in the room. Right?
That's the thing about Harlem and New York City. It's like the love in the basketball game is so pure because they really love and respect the game. So as the Knicks are some shit. They're not that good, excuse my language, but the game of basketball is always thriving in New York City because you got to come here. You got to prove it here. Like you could do it in the NBA, or you could do it in college, or you could do it where you're from, but you got to come and do it here. That's what the history, like you said, all these great players in the 60s and 70s. Kareem was in the NBA, but he had to come to Rucker Park.
Yep.
Dr. J, because the essence and the truth of the game is with it, is really, it drives there. It comes from being able to come out here and you got to do it while everybody's watching. You know what I'm saying? And it's live, and I think that has grown, and it became like, well, man, I'm in the NBA, but I'm still not officially
the man,
right?
Unless I'm not the man, I ain't the man. Like Lenny was the number one player in the nation. And then he came. I remember when Lenny came to Rucker Park for the first time. You know what I'm saying? He was number one high school player in the nation. They were begging him to get him to Rucker Park. He came to Rucker Park, and he came to Boogie. And when first day outside, my goodness, he was coming with his A game. You know what I mean? And he was a high school kid. Most high school kids can't even play in Rucker Pro. He was playing Rucker Pro in high school. And a select few did that, like Rafer did that, Stephon Marbury. A very, very select few. You know what I mean? So it's like,
but I will hold on. I don't mean to cut you off now. Well, I was the first I was the first high schooler to get MVP out there, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's the difference, Lenny. Excuse me, sir. Yeah, boys to men, ABC, CBD.
Yeah,
there ain't no question,
but
bro.
Yeah, man, bro.
He was a man out there playing.
I appreciate you coming out here, man, for the event, man. I know you were supposed to have been leaving out to go to Japan, and you said you'll hold on and you'll go later, man. But I greatly appreciate you, bro.
Oh, love, brother. See, we go by the one thing, man: loyalty over royalty.
Yeah,
you know,
this is true,
and that's regardless. But in the long run, it's priceless, And just like Rucker Park is priceless, just like you know what I'm saying, like just true greatness is really a priceless thing, and you want to be able to be a part of it. You know what I mean? So just like we're gonna bring that to the Atlantic City area this weekend, it's gonna be a great time, man. All your family, friends, everybody come out, and we're gonna put on a show that they never seen before, just like some of these great nights, because it's just certain nights. Like some nights you might go to that park and it might be regular, but then some nights it'll be never
electric.
Like it again.
Yeah.
I brought Kevin Durant to Rucker Park, and the day I did that, it was probably 700-800 people there. By the time before the game started, the park was full with like 5,400 people. Nobody else can fit in the gym. You know what I mean? Nobody else could fit in the park. They had to close it down. And it was an epic night, you know what I mean? And like when Lenny got MVP that night, it was an epic night. I had some epic nights myself. Jay-Z's on the sidelines. I have like 40-some points against his team. There was epic nights out there, man. Just like back in the day when Pee Wee Kirkland and my man and them used to kill. You know what I mean? Joe Hammond and them, they didn't want to go to the NBA. They're like, nah, we cool.
No, they're in
the summertime.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Curlin was one of the best players I think ever to come out of Harlem. He went to Cottrell College back in the day. So, well, look, I got about 20 seconds. We got to hit the break. Before I let you get out of here, we look forward to seeing you this week and appreciate a couple moments. Real quick, who's your NBA MVP?
Man, NBA MVP. I mean, you got to go with Russ. I mean, you can love him or hate him. I don't maybe like his decisions, but man, the boy is a dog. He plays every possession. He doesn't take no plays off. You got to respect that. Even if you don't like him, you got to respect that. Man, he's giving you a triple-double with 30-plus every single night.
He's got to sometimes. Yeah, he's got to. So, all right, listen, we're up against it. Appreciate it. Look, be well. Later, bro. We'll see you on the weekend, and thanks for jumping on board for a couple moments.
All right, God bless y'all, man. Get your popcorn. It's going to be a show.
You got it. All right, White Chocolate, a couple minutes. It's ripping off names at Rucker Park. All right, 12:44. We'll come back. Last time out, and then we'll close it out. Hour number 1 of the books. We'll keep Lenny for a couple more minutes. All right, 12:49. Getting ready to close in on an hour in the books. Little NFL talk on the other side. Rich Quinones here. Lenny Cooke in studio. Josh on the other side. Good stuff from White Chocolate. Don't forget, Shoot Hoops Not Guns tournament. It's a great event. Oak Crest High School Mays Landing. You got 9:30 to 11:30, the basketball clinic, ages 9 to 16, boys and girls. It's actually pretty inexpensive, 8 to 9, 10 per child, which is nothing, to hang out and shoot some hoops and get some life lessons as well. And then you got the two squads right here. So you have the Elite All-Stars versus Wolf Nation of New York, right?
Yes. That's my cousin's team, the Hamilton Elite. They're going to be going against Wolf Nation of New York. Then we have a girls' all-star game, which is the New Jersey Stars.
Lady Jersey Stars versus Lady Showtime.
Yes.
And then you got your all-stars and the We All-Stars, in New York.
And then the main event.
The main event.
I got my man Curtis Sumter, who's a Villanova alumni. He's going to speak to the kids during the clinic.
Good.
Give a little insight on his and theirs, what to look forward to on the next level.
I think it's great what you're doing.
I think it's going to be a great event.
I think it's going to be a great turnout. I think you're doing it the right way. I think a lot of people are going to be involved. And like you said, at the end of the day, listen, sometimes when kids get bored, and you got to look at some of the they run with the wrong crowd, and then the rest, as they say, it's not good history. But it's always good. Like I said, you're right. I think you kind of found your calling with some things. We'll disagree on a lot of NBA stuff, but that's okay. That makes it fun.
Yeah,
I don't listen.
It's cool.
Sometimes I'll just randomly text Lenny, and I'll just be like, "Are you looking at this nonsense?" All right, where's Melo going before we get out of here?
I believe Melo's going to end up in Miami, man. I just feel that way. I mean, he haven't said it, but
he is a great player. But and I'm not putting you on the spot. He's a great player. At this stage of his career, you would think he just wants a championship, but I also think it's hard to just pick up and uproot. And if the numbers don't lie, he was doing pretty good before Jackson. They haven't surrounded him besides Porzingis. As soon as Jackson came on board, listen, Phil Jackson's not going to coach. He's too old. He's getting up there. He's not a grinder like a guy like Pat Riley is.
Exactly.
He is destroying this franchise.
He definitely is. I mean, I've been a Phil Jackson fan forever when he was with the Bulls or whatever, but he's tearing Melo apart. I mean, he's making him look bad.
It's bad. Yeah, it's not. And the NBA
and like you said, he's
like
a great player. He will be a Hall of Famer. But like you said, he should be chasing that ring now. I mean, he signed the big contract. He already got the big contract that he's going to be maxed out with, and now go to a team where you feel like you can get a ring. How
good, if healthy, and I'm wondering, I'm sure they'll give him minutes restrictions, but how good do you think Ben Simmons can be?
Ben Simmons, like I said, I coached Ben Simmons when he was a senior in high school at the NBA Top 100 camp, and I knew he was a pro right then. He has the potential to be the next LeBron. With the IQ he has, the body, he's 7 foot now.
Natural position, though, he can play.
He can play the 2. He can play the 2 at 7 foot.
You think
that's going to be scary?
The Sixers should be a playoff team within 2 to 3 years.
Exactly.
Especially the way the Eastern Conference is.
Exactly. As long as they build around him, they'll be fine.
So you're telling me in the next couple of years, the Sixers will be winning 50-plus games, and the Knicks are going to be toiling around 15 to 20? Is that kind of what you're saying?
40, 45.
8th seed? Bounce in the first round? I'll still take the playoffs. That's fine.
Exactly, because the Knicks is not going.
All right, real quick, NBA Finals prediction.
Cleveland, Golden State Warriors.
How many games?
It's going 7. LeBron James will be the NBA MVP
of the finals. So you like Cleveland?
I like LeBron.
All right. All the information, by the way, real quick, if anyone wants some more information, how can they get a hold of you for the weekend? I know you're posting a lot of stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, they can email me, Lenny Cooke Foundation at Gmail, Facebook, Lenny Cooke, Instagram, Lenny Cooke 429.
Just hit them up on social media.
I want to thank a couple of people before I get out of here because
I wouldn't be able to fire them off. Go ahead.
I wouldn't be able to do it without y'all. Barbara Delaringo of Oak Crest, Frank Brown, Tim and Vicky of Kent Heritage, Frank Gilliam, Marty Smalls, Chubb in the Hamilton Elite. Thank y'all, man. I couldn't do it without y'all.
I tell you, I'm waiting to tell them to go the other way, like in the Oscars. You know when they start to go the wrong way on the stage. All right, good stuff from you, my friend, and White Chocolate.